Hello, everyone. I know that some of you are a little bit apprehensive about this grammar boot camp test that you are going to be taking. And so I just wanted to take a few minutes to go over the review sheet, over all of the units, and just kind of walk you through each of the units and kind of go over some of the things that if I was taking a test or if I was trying to figure out these questions, how would I work my way through it? So I'm just going to verbally work my way through these questions on the review sheet, and I think it will help you. So let's start off with fragments, run-ons, and comma splices. Remember, a fragment is an incomplete sentence. It's missing a subject, or it's missing a verb, or it just doesn't make sense. A run-on are two sentences joined together with no separation, so they haven't separated either of the sentences. A comma splice, two sentences where they've tried to separate it, but they've only put a comma, and we can't just put a comma in between two sentences. Otherwise, it's an error called a comma splice. So let's work through these first 12 questions on this unit. The first one, after majoring in English at the University of Southern California. Well, that leaves me hanging. What happened? I don't know who even majored. So you would label that a fragment. Number two, the managing editor, an excellent journalist and former reporter, is a religious man. One complete thought. It's a sentence. Number three, before long, the fire died down. That's one complete sentence. Some people may say, okay, well, I've got this, and then I've got this, so that must mean it's a comma splice. No, because what comes first, before long, that's not a sentence. That's just a prepositional phrase. So you need both of those together. Number four, until the orchestra plays more popular selections. Well, what's going to happen until the orchestra plays? I don't know. It leaves me hanging. It's a fragment. Number five, while I admired her greatly, I don't think she deserved the position. She was inexperienced. Well, let's take a look at this one. While I admired her greatly, I don't think she deserved the position. That's one sentence. She was inexperienced. That's another sentence. I can't join two sentences with no separation. So that one would be considered a run-on. Number six, shuffling papers is part of the job. Well, that sounds like a good sentence to me. Filing is not part of the job. That's another good sentence. I've got two complete sentences joined only with that right there. That's a comma. So that would be considered a comma splice. Number seven, as long as we continue to follow the traditional ways of thinking, well, what's going to happen as long as we do that? It leaves me hanging. Number eight, Angela and Sue Lynn didn't bring the poster board. That's a sentence. So they went back to get it. That's another sentence. They've tried to separate it, but they've only put a so. One of the four ways to correct run-ons is you can put a coordinating conjunction, but you also have to put a comma there. There is no comma there, so that's considered a run-on. Let me change that real quick. All right, so that's a run-on. Number nine, Erica took the SAT this spring. That's a good sentence. She will take it again this fall. That's another good sentence. I only have a comma separating it, so you should have labeled it a comma splice. Number 10, Mrs. Johnson does not hire the workers, but she supervises them. Again, Mrs. Johnson does not hire the workers. That's a sentence. She supervises them. That's another sentence. Can I join two sentences with just a coordinating conjunction? No. So that would be considered a run-on. Number 3, the band members have practiced for 3 months. Well, that's a good sentence. Are ready for the competition. That's not a sentence. So this whole phrase is one sentence. That makes it a good sentence. Number 12, the concerned but tired hikers. Well, what did they do? I'm missing the verb. So that one you should have labeled a fragment. Punctuation. In this one, you're just missing some commas or some semicolons. I think if you'll open the review sheet and look at the answers, look how I've marked it, that will help you out. So let's go down to pronouns. Who or whom was the winner of the contest? Well, the way I remember it is who does it, whom receives it. So if I look at this and say, okay, is this part right here doing something or receiving it? They're doing something. They were the winner. So you should choose who. Each of the violinists rosins his or her or their bow every day before practice. Well, my subject is each. And if I go back and look at the PowerPoint on pronouns, you'll see that when I have these things like of the violinist, of the ducks, I don't look at that. I look at the true subject of the sentence. So in number 3, it's each. And if I go look on my chart, I'll see that each is a singular pronoun. Singular pronoun. So this has to be a singular pronoun. Number 4, neither of the ducks. Neither is the singular pronoun. I don't look at of the ducks. I've crossed that out. Neither is singular. My verb has to be singular. Singular verbs end in S. Make sure you write that down somewhere. Singular verbs end in S. Number 5, the new president of the club is. Well, is a be verb. And if you'll look at your rules on pronouns, when you have a be verb, what follows it is a nominative pronoun. Which one of these is nominative? It's he. And if you'll turn the sentence around and say he is the new president of the club, that will sound better to your ears. Number 6, I am shorter than. When you have than or as, you have to add something mentally. So on this one, you would say, I am shorter than she is. Who or whom did you select as the running mate for the marathon? Again, who does it? Whom receives it? You selected somebody, they received it, so it's whom. Some of the papers was or were missing. Well, again, I've got a prepositional phrase. I'm not going to find the subject in a prepositional phrase. The subject is some. Some is either. So when it's either, I get to look in the prepositional phrase. But if it's singular or plural, I don't. Some is either. I look at papers. Papers is plural. So I choose the plural verb. How do I know were is a plural verb? Because singular verbs end in S. Was is singular. Were is plural. Many of the students brought. I'm going to cross out of the students. That leaves me with many. Many on my chart is plural. So I'm going to choose the plural pronoun to go with it. Them or those bite-sized cheesecakes are delicious. Them is used as a pronoun. Those is used as an adjective. Those cheesecakes. Yesterday, Tanya took my cousin and Blake to the Texas State Fair. Am I receiving it or doing it in this part? Look at your nominative, objective, and possessive chart. It's receiving it, so it's him. It's an objective pronoun. None of the pastries tastes or taste fresh. I'm going to cross out pastries. That leaves me with none. None on my chart is either. So now I get to look at pastries. Pastries is plural, so I choose the plural verb. Few of the contestants. Crossing out of the contestants. Few is always plural, so I'm going to choose the plural verb, no. Subject-verb agreement. Again, you've got 12 rules on that PowerPoint that you should really go through and review before you take the Grammar Boot Camp test. I'm not saying you have to memorize every single rule. You especially don't have to memorize what number they are, but just go back through and refresh your memory on what rules exist and try to kind of quiz yourself on these. Finding the true subject of the sentence is what's important. The difference between twins is or are often surprising. What is or are often surprising? Not the twins, the difference. Difference is singular, so my verb has to be singular. Singular verbs end in S. Both the drinks and the dessert. I have 2 subjects, so I've got to choose a plural verb, were. Number 3, there doesn't tell me anything. I have to look further in the sentence. 3 original songs. That's my subject. So which one of those is my verb? Well, songs is plural, so my verb is plural. The subject I want to write about has or have not been discussed in this class yet. Again, what's my true subject in the sentence? Well, here it is subject. One subject, that is singular. So my verb has to be singular. Singular verbs end in S. 3 kinds of film was or were sold at the shop. I'm going to cross out of film because that's a prepositional phrase. My subject is 3 kinds. Kinds is plural, so my verb is plural, were. Physics. Well, physics ends with an S, but it's one of those rules where sometimes you have subjects that end in S, but they are not plural. Physics is one class, so my verb has to be singular since my subject is singular. The choir. Choir is a collective noun. It's maybe 50 members of the choir, but it's one choir as a whole. Collective nouns are singular, so my verb ends in an S is singular. He is one of the many students. One is singular, so it's plays. The style of clothes that my roommates wear. Well, I'm not talking about clothes. I'm not talking about roommates. What is very popular? It's the style. Style is singular, so my verb is singular, is. And finally, the family eats or eat together every evening. Family might have 20 members of your family, but it's one collective unit, so it's singular. It's a collective noun, so my verb is singular, eats. I hope that helps. Also, I want you to look further on in this grammar review unit. You've got a kind of a practice test. Take the practice test because I did not write this boot camp test, the post test. Another English department member did. And it's a little bit different structure than maybe what we've been doing the last few weeks with our practice quizzes and my notes and this review sheet. And so take the 19 question review, boot camp review test. Take it, complete it, and then check your answers. And then really go back and study all the units before you take that big boot camp test. It's important that you try your hardest. And yes, if you don't do well on it, it's not the end of the world. We still have many grades this semester, but do your best. I want you to kind of reflect and see how much grammar have you learned so far. I hope that helps.